All right, so this video is not going to be about survival and prepping, but as many people know, I view survivalism holistically, meaning that if you're not thriving right now while the getting is good, then like hell you're going to survive, never mind thrive, when the getting gets bad. So a big part of survivalism is being a success in the here and now while things are good, while we have electricity, while you have water running through the taps, while you have food in the grocery store. You want to maximize your capabilities before things get bad, which is why today I would like to share some things that I've learned about life, and hopefully you can reciprocate that in the comment section below. One of the things I've learned about life is that you should never peak too early. You ever meet those people in high school who were all the rage back then? They were the coolest kids, they had all the coolest friends, they got all the girls, you know, they drove the nicest car. And you run into these people 10, 20 years down the road and they're just average Joes, or they're doing worse, you know. A lot of them wither away pretty quickly. They live fast and they die young. Perhaps they don't die young physically speaking, but their hopes and dreams and their potential dies young because they burnt themselves out. They peaked early. I see this happen on YouTube a lot also, where some channels, they'll get into the algorithm's favor very early on and they'll explode. You know, their channels will see very fast growth, which is typically not sustainable unless you are really hitting the pavement every day and putting forth a high quality video every single day. It's very hard to sustain that growth, and even if you are doing that, there's no guarantees. But what typically happens is that people start to have this expectation that, you know, I have to put in this amount of work and I get this amount of outcome, this amount of results, which is usually disproportionate if you're in favor of the algorithm. How the algorithm works is that typically 80% of the work you put into YouTube will only yield 20% of the results. 20% of the videos you make are going to get 80% of the results. And they're typically going to be videos that maybe took you a few hours to make. And the videos that take you days to make typically don't, you know, never get the proportional results that you would expect. So oftentimes these people get disappointed and they start to get depressed, or they start putting in less effort, or they just think it's a lost cause and they give up because they peaked too early. I've been fortunate enough to not have peaked on YouTube early. I did have one that went viral in 2017, the toilet paper tablet video, but most of my videos, you know, get a modest amount of views, proportion to the work that I actually put into them. So what I would say is that beware of peaking too soon, and if you do peak soon, don't project that into the future. Don't expect that it's going to be that way forever. Always have that anxiety that, you know, things could go bad at any second, especially with YouTube, because nothing is guaranteed on this platform. You could be demonetized or deplatformed tomorrow. So you should never put all your eggs in this basket. But don't peak too early in life. There's some people who don't peak well into their 80s, like that gymnast, the female gymnast, who, the 85-year-old Facebook phenom, you know, who had her 15 minutes of fame much later in life. So just because you haven't peaked in your 50s, 60s, 70s doesn't mean that you're not going to peak yet. You know, maybe your 15 minutes of fame is yet to be had. Not that I think fame is something people should chase, but typically I just use that as a measure of success, because usually with whatever success comes a degree of fame. Personally, I have no interest whatsoever in being famous. Quite the opposite, actually. I'm quite introverted. My next piece of advice is that if you're not living in the red, you're not going to get ahead. There are 7.5 billion people on this planet, and they're all fighting for what remains of it. And if you truly want to be a success in whatever you do, you need to outwork those people. That's just the reality of the situation. And you can only do that by going into the red. What do I mean by going into the red? The desire to achieve something has to be so encompassing that you need it, that you really tell yourself that you need to do it, that if you don't do it, you are going to die. There's a quote by Eric Thomas, which is his most popular quote. He says, "When you want something as bad as you want to breathe, that is when you're going to be successful. When your interest in the extracurricular is matched to your physiological needs, the strength of those needs to drink, to eat, to breathe, then you're going to be successful." It's not enough to just want something and desire something, because if you just want it, as soon as you get into the red, as soon as things get really difficult, you're going to have an excuse. You're going to have a way out. You're going to be like, well, I guess I don't really need to do this. But if you need to do it, then you're going to do it. And that's how you get ahead, no matter what you do. It's like exercise. It's going the extra mile. That's what's going to help you lose weight or help you get stronger. If you're running a business, it's working that extra 2 hours a day, doing what you really don't want to do. There's times that I'm editing videos on YouTube. It'll be 4 in the morning, and I literally have to, and I'm not joking about this, I have to slap myself to stay awake while I'm editing the video. Like, I have to get up and I have to jump, I have to do jumping jacks or something like that in order to get it done. And this kind of ties into the peaking too soon problem, is that people have expectations shaped around, I only have to do X amount of work to get Y results. And if that's what you get accustomed to too soon, then it's very hard for you to be motivated beyond that. So I was glad that it took me a year to get 5,000 subscribers. I was glad that it took me 2 years to get 20,000 subscribers. And I was glad that it took me probably 3.5 years to get 100,000 subscribers. And it's going to probably take me 6 or 7 to get 1 million. What I'm trying to say in a nutshell is that if you don't feel you need to succeed, you likely won't. I want to say that you right out, flat out won't, but there's always that slim chance of success regardless, because you might get lucky. But the reality is, if you don't need to succeed, you won't. If you just want to succeed, you won't. That's not enough. You have to feel that I need to do this. It has to be such that if I don't lose weight, I'm gonna die. That's kind of the mentality that you have to have. If I don't get this business to be profitable, I'm gonna die. That's the mentality that you have to take if you truly want to get ahead. The next thing I've learned about life is being penny pinching and pound foolish. For the better part of my life, I was penny pinching and pound foolish, meaning I was tripping over dollars to pick up dimes. I would make a big deal out of, oh, why is the price of this tomato $3? Yet I was in debt with credit card companies, and I was making all these very poor long-term financial decisions. These macro financial decisions were just terrible. And I've seen this in running a store now. I see this. And I want to say from the get-go, I appreciate all of my patrons and customers who shop at CanadianPreparedness.com, whether your order is $5 or $500. I appreciate every order that's placed. But what I've noticed is that people who place really, really small orders tend to be the ones who obsess the most about the shipping times and all the details of, why isn't my shipment here yet? And it's been, a week, and where is it? That sort of thing. Whereas a person who will place a very large order, I might be late in shipping it out, and I'm messaging them to reassure them because they haven't messaged me about it because they don't care. So what I'm trying to say is that some people are penny pinching, but pound foolish. Do these people put the same amount of attention into their macro financial situation? I understand that for somebody, that $5 order may be as valuable, if not more valuable, than the person who places the $1,000 order. I get that. But it seems to be that without fail, the majority of complaints that I get about shipping times, 95% are of orders under $30. So you need to ask yourself, when it comes to your financial situation, am I putting the same energy into managing my bigger financial picture as I am to my smaller one? Because clearly in the long term, that's not going to serve you well. You're much better off focusing on the bigger financial picture. You know, how can I generate an alternate source of income? How can I save money here and there? How can I get out of debt? These kind of things. There's definitely a time and place to be particular about some of the smaller purchases that you make, but don't sweat the small stuff. You know, choose your battles wisely. The next thing is that the hard way is usually the easy way. Kenton over at Rewild University talks about how if you want to get something done fast, slow down. And that always resonates with me, especially when I'm outdoors or I'm trying to put together a video or something like that. Slow down, focus. You know what I'm saying? Don't just try to go fast and get it done, because then you make a mistake and you got to go back and do it all over again. The last word of advice I have: when times get tough and when you're being tested, or if you have to do something that you really don't want to do, just repeat this mantra. Don't think, just do. Don't think, just do. Because oftentimes, once you have a plan already made, you don't need to think anymore. You just need to execute that plan. And that might mean doing arduous, laborious work. And in doing that work, your mind is going to be playing tricks on you. It's going to be telling you all the reasons why you can quit and trying to get you to procrastinate and do all these things. All you have to do is tell yourself, don't think, just do. Just keep moving forward. Even if it's only an inch an hour, it's better than remaining stagnant or moving backwards. So, you know, there are times when the days just seem so long. But in the end, if you can just not think, stay focused on the task, do it, get it done, outwork everybody, you know, live in the red, you're going to get ahead. Now, one final word of caution about living in the red. There's obviously a risk of injury. There's a risk of your engine blowing up. You know, if you rev too high, you're going to destroy your car. So there's a fine line between going into the red and failing in a way which is catastrophic. But you have to skirt that line of failure if you want to win the race. Anyways, guys, that was my wisdom that I have for you. I hope you got something out of that. Now, I would ask that you be kind enough to leave some of your wisdom in the comment section below for myself and the rest of the world. Thanks for watching. Canadian Prepper out. The best way to support this YouTube channel is to support yourself by gearing up through CanadianPreparedness.com or BugoutRoll.ca. Premium quality gear at the best possible price using the incredibly secure and easy to use Shopify platform. We offer free shipping to the United States for orders over $200 USD and free shipping to Canada over $75. So support the channel by supporting yourself.